season. Not a single second. And here on the holiday, another commanding victory for these NFC hopefuls. Now 8-3 on the season following this blowout win over Washington. Joe Musso alongside Emery Hunt here to break this one down. Emery, a happy holiday to you and yours, but you're here with me and mine on this one. This was all Cowboys. I mean, there were moments in the first half where it looked like Washington might put up enough fight to make this interesting in the second half, but second half goes completely the opposite direction. What'd you make of the dominance there in the final 30 by Dallas?
We saw them put a team away. We hadn't really seen them do that all season long. Usually get out to big leads and they'll blow teams out and they'll be able to slowly salt a game away. But this was the first time I think this season we saw the Cowboys actually take control in the second half, put their foot on the throats of the offense of the opposing team and really take the will from them to come back. We saw the defense step up, turn the ball over. We saw the offense be able to put the ball in the end zone. You talk about that Devontae Turpin touchdown. That was a dagger from the offense, but the defense really stepped up, got to Sam Howell. They turned the ball over, got the pick six. So we saw a complete game finally from the Dallas Cowboys. It
felt like that DaRon Bland pick six was coming at some point. They waited until the waning moments of this one. But I'd ask you if you've seen anything of this ilk before, but you obviously have not because none of us have. But what do you make of the ability of this defense, not just to take it away, but to take it back?
That's the mark of a true game-breaking defense. How can you score the ball on defense? And if you can do that, then you have a great chance to go far in the postseason. And it's tough for these guys to get these picks, these interceptions, because of how well these quarterbacks are playing nowadays. But to bring it back for a touchdown, that's next level. We hadn't seen that in history. And you can think about some of the greats. You talk about Deion Sanders. You think about Ronnie Lott when he played with the 49ers. You think about someone like Ashley Ambrose, Aeneas Williams. Any one of these guys that had a skill in turning the ball over haven't done what DaRon Bland has done this season. And you saw in that last interception, he wasn't going to be denied, like you mentioned. He was going to score this football in the end zone. Made a guy miss here, then made two guys run to each other again. Right here, bang! That was another one and into the end zone. So we are witnessing history live on Thanksgiving, but I thought this was probably the most complete game the Cowboys defense played all season long.
I know I won't be the only one, but maybe I'll be the first. Nothing bland about this Thanksgiving meal here on Sunday. He houses that one for 6. Sorry. Shout out to Dad for the dad joke there. I know Pops is watching right now. Emery, let's talk about the other side of this one too, because this is a Commanders team that has plenty to feel good about, maybe not coming out of this game, but strictly at the quarterback position moving forward. You take those two edge rushers away, it's going to get hard on the defense. But offensive side of the ball, play calling is where we sat and questioned throughout this one. What is the ethos right now for Eric Bieniemy? I know he's trying to figure out what he has at quarterback, and maybe we're learning what he has at quarterback, but is anything leading to anything right now? Set him up to knock him down, or is it just sort of play call for the sake of play call?
I think it's a lot of, and I use this term a lot, where we're seeing guys call plays but not running offense. And right now they're calling plays, they're not running an offense, because I think the biggest issue for the Washington Commanders, no run game. They can't really run the football. There's no bell cow that they could turn around and say, hey, this is our guy. We're going to lean on him to help take some of the pressure off of Sam Howell. We know the passing game works. We know the short passing game works. We know the intermediate passing game works. We even know Sam Howell can get out there and run around with his legs as well, but they don't have the true run game to really balance out this offense. So Dallas was comfortable letting these guys complete these short 4 or 5 yard passes. They'll just rally up, make the tackle, and they couldn't really get those short yardage situations. So that's when it became tough to call plays. We talked about why go in the shotgun as opposed to going under center. And that right there is why they were able to get stuffed consistently on these 4th and shorts, 3rd and shorts. They got to find someone that they trust, that they can lean on, and that would help change this offense for the better.
Yeah, if anything is going to tell us anything, it's those decisions made on 3rd and short, 4th and short perimeter passing rather than trusting the big uglies up front to go get you that yard. Let's talk about Sam Howell, because of all the issues that plague teams across the NFL, we're worried about quarterbacks in most instances. There's only a few you can really trust to take you to the place you're trying to go. Sam Howell's not there just yet, but 300 yards on 44 passes. How has he graded out in your eyes through 12 weeks this season? We're talking about a 5th-round selection, presenting himself far better than players that were drafted far earlier.
I give him a solid B. I feel like this is someone that is doing exactly what you want your quarterback to do. He's a distributor. He's done a fantastic job of making sure everyone gets involved in the passing game. When the situation calls for it, he's able to run with his legs, pick up a cheap first down or two. And it's those type of things that shows you can win with a Sam Howell. Just continue to build around him with a strong run game, get the offensive line to be a little bit more consistent, and you're going to get the best of Sam Howell because, again, he's a true dual threat, and he's shown you he's not afraid of the moment, and the moment and situation is not too big for him. I think they have a guy they could win with.
Well, I would be remiss if we did not talk about the quarterback on the other sideline as well. Our colleague Jonathan Jones, our senior NFL insider, reporting that conversation has not started yet, but contract talks will ramp up, and they might be ramping up around an MVP trophy as well. This was another fantastic outing from Dak, and on the biggest stage. What stood out to you?
The fact that he's able to find guys deep down the field. I know the first two passes of the game, he kind of overshot a little bit, but once he found his rhythm and started to settle in, he started to connect on those, and we saw Dak do everything we saw him do back in 2016. We saw the mobility. We saw him get outside the pocket. We saw him work touchdown to check down. We saw him consistently find those tight window throws. To me, Dak has always been a top 8 quarterback in the NFL, and now he's put himself in the MVP category this season.
MVP-like numbers here on Thanksgiving once again, as it is the Cowboys in a runaway. Taking a look at some of those numbers coming out of this matchup. The boys, I mean, they have not trailed for a second yet at home. It's been dominance in Big D. Most points in a game on Thanksgiving. Not at the top, but right there in the conversation. The 3rd highest output in franchise history. We got a guy there that knows it well. The lead voice of the NFL on CBS, Tony Romo, joining us on the holiday. Tony, first and foremost, thank you for joining us here on Thanksgiving. Let's start with that proverbial cherry on top of this Thanksgiving feast. The pick 6 back the other way. Historic numbers, a record number of pick 6 here for DaRon Bland and this defense. Talk to me not just about their ability to take it away, but their ability to score the football once they have their hands on it.
Well, I think a lot of the credit goes to Dan Quinn. They not only preach it, but they practice it a lot. And when I say that, I mean they have many drills, and it's like the more you practice something, the better you get at it. And you know, one area is so many times someone gets an interception or fumble and the whole team's going to go and block for them, and someone hits someone in the back, someone they do it incorrectly. But this team is well versed in how to go about it. But a lot of it also is just Bland has great instincts, and I'm so impressed with the depth on this defense. The next guy up, and here we go. It's like Jordan Lewis went out last year, Bland came in, and then he just took off. And I mean, most teams don't have, you know, the plethora of depth that this team does.
And sometimes it's one side of the ball propping up the other, but this is complementary football in its truest form right now. Talking about Dak's numbers, 22 of 32, 331 and 4 touchdowns on a prime-time stage as people are starting to talk MVP around you. How have you assessed not just this season on field, but the way that this man has dealt with all the talk in this year, in the years prior, and really getting the best football out of himself at a time like this?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I mean, this all starts up front. And when I say that, Dak is playing amazing. But this team didn't have the continuity up front early in the season with some of the injuries and such. And Zach Martin had the long layoff coming into the year, going through the contract negotiation. But when they have Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, and Tyron Smith out there, you're talking about 3 guys who will never need help. They can block any individual by themselves. And you go watch. Tyler Smith did a great job on him. And it's like, wow. I mean, this is a team that can just big boy you and get up there and, you know, outsize you almost, and you can make the game simple. And Dak's ability to get down the field, a lot of that is Coach McCarthy adjusting after the bye, but he did it because he has probably the best O-line he's ever had, and you're able to call the stuff, the double moves downfield, and it's not just hitch and go. It's like a sail route, and then back to the middle of the field. And to me, that's what makes this team so formidable, is that they have time in the drop back game to do everything you want if you were just drawing it up, you know, on the ground. And I mean, this is a complete football team. We know how dominant this defense is, and with the way Dak's playing right now, you do not want to go to Dallas in the playoffs.
Formidable and fun to watch right now, Tony. Before we let you go, we're talking playoffs. We're looking forward. They don't hand anything out here in Week 12, and a famous coach said it's all about who you are after Thanksgiving. How do you keep this team engaged moving forward when it is clicking the way it is right now?
Well, their depth and the fact they have everybody, like, their sound everywhere. I mean, the biggest thing for me will be when a team decides to double team CeeDee Lamb on every play. When they decide wherever he motions, because McCarthy's doing a great job now of moving him around, giving him the ball many different ways, and getting him vertical and underneath. And that means you got to defend the whole field. But when a team just says, we're going to go ahead and double team him the entire game, then they might have to get back to running the football, because after the bye week in 7, they started to throw the football and understand they could take shots down the field over and over again, and that's really helped them. There'll be a slight adjustment from teams going forward. Their schedule is very tough. We'll find out about the Cowboys here in the next 2-3 weeks.
Well, we know in Dallas they don't say grace until Tony Romo's sitting at the head of the table. So with that, Tony, we thank you and a happy Thanksgiving.
Pretty sure my wife has already done it, but thank you.
Our Tony Romo stopping by as he does each and every week. You'll see him on Sunday as well, following a big-time matchup that we know. Tony, we appreciate you. We also appreciate...
YouTube của mình, trên tay mình đây là hộp sữa dâu. Để làm được sản phẩm này, chúng ta cần chuẩn bị giấy thủ công, dạ kéo cắt và hộp dán. Bây giờ chúng ta cùng bắt đầu nào.
Bây giờ mình sẽ vẽ hộp sữa dâu nha các bạn. Đầu tiên mình sẽ lấy bút dạ mình vẽ. Bây giờ mình sẽ lấy kéo mình cắt. Bây giờ mình sẽ lấy bút chì mình in. Lấy bút dạ mình vẽ. Rồi nhá, vẽ xong. Bây giờ mình sẽ lấy kéo mình cắt. giờ mình sẽ lấy hò mình dán. Bây giờ mình sẽ ghi tên. Nếu các bạn thấy hay thì hãy cho mình xin một lượt like, một lượt đăng ký kênh. Mình cảm ơn tất cả các bạn rất là nhiều.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình. Trên tay mình đây là con cá heo. Để em đưa sản phẩm này chúng ta cần chuẩn bị giấy thủ công, dạng kiểu cắt và hồ dán. Bây giờ chúng ta cùng bắt đầu nào.
Bây giờ mình sẽ vẽ con cá heo. Đầu tiên mình sẽ lấy bút dạ mình vẽ.